In this section, we will manage SELinux Booleans. SELinux only allows actions based on specific rules. If you've not explicitly allowed an action, it will be denied. The targeted policy used by Red Hat Enterprise Linux focuses on containing services, but not everyone wants those same containers. For example, an internet service provider or a university may want to allow users to host web pages from their home directory, a feature that most corporate websites would not want to allow. SELinux Booleans are switches that change the behavior of the SELinux policy. They're basically rule sets that can be enabled and disabled by the security administrator. I can use a getSEBool command in order to view the Booleans that are available and their current values. A -a option on this command will list all of the Booleans that are available and their values, but I could take this output and I could pipe it to a grep and narrow it down. Let's look at the home directories, for example. The default of the targeted policy does not include rules to allow FTP, HTTP, or Samba to interact with user home directories. Specifically, there are no rules which allow, for example, FTPD_T to read or write to user home dir type. However, some sites may want that. Instead of having to get a new policy or to get the source, make modifications, and recompile a policy, the policy is built in with Booleans. If the Boolean is turned on, then the allow rules will be included within the policy for that particular set of actions. I can change the value of a Boolean with the setSEBool command. I can specify the Boolean and then its value, or a Boolean equals in its value. I can use words or numbers. So I can use setSEBool and say FTP_home_dir, and I can say that I want to turn it on. I could also use a 1 for on and a 0 for off. When I make this change, I can now use my getSEBool, and instead of using all of them in a grep, I can specify specifically the Boolean and see its value, and it's currently set to on. However, this was a temporary change. If I want this to be a persistent change through a reboot, I need to go back and use the capital P or persistent option. I can do a setSEBool -P for FTP_home_dir and say on. This will make sure that it is dynamically modified to be on, which it is, and will also go and set the boot time defaults. This includes modifying a configuration file underneath the etc SELinux tree associated with this particular policy, as well as doing a rebuild of the policy, so it can take a couple minutes before it actually completes. If you use the graphical utility to change a Boolean and you check a box to enable a Boolean, it will also take a couple minutes. There will be an icon showing that you are waiting for an action within that utility on Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6. Once I have my prompt back, I can again do my getSEBool and see what my current value is. There is another option for how I can view the values of a Boolean, as well as brief information about their description. The SEManage command that we used for file context in the previous section also has a Boolean subcommand, and it also has a -L for listing. I'll go ahead and do a grep for FTP so that I don't list all of them right away. At the top of my list is my FTP home dir Boolean. It shows two values here, on and on. The first value is what my current value is, and the second value is what my boot time default is. So I can check and see whether I have a Boolean on temporarily or persistently using this utility. Finally, I get a description of what this Boolean is associated with, it allows FTP to read and write files in the user home directories. Another method of finding more information on these Booleans is to look at the man pages. The man pages for SELinux information all have an underscore SELinux as part of their name, and they come from section 8. There's a man page for many of the different processes or services, for example ZOS, Zebra, YPserve. This also means that I can do a man on FTPD underscore SELinux for more information about the FTP modules. I'll get information about the Booleans with descriptions of what I want to do and examples of exactly what command I need, in this case the set SEBool with the -p for persistence through a reboot. This particular man page has a section on sharing files, because it's common to take FTP files and also share those files or that content with HTTP or Samba or other services. So the policy already contains a type called public underscore content underscore t that is readable by a number of these different services. Here in the man page we're seeing a sample SEmanage fcontext command in order to add a rule for restorecon that would map this type to our specific content. Most of these man pages have a file context section that defines the different file types that are defined, and in many cases also showing paths or samples of the files or directories that would use that particular type. Since this is a network service, it has a port. The ports also get a specific type, and there are default ports that get those types. The process types are the types that show up when we look at a PS. These are also sometimes called domains, and they are also specified. And finally we see the commands, most of which are SEmanage commands that are used to manipulate these modules or settings. So again, a man-k underscore SELinux can assist in finding a man page that'll tell me more about the Booleans, file context, and port settings that can be done for the different SELinux modules. For a Boolean, if I want to get its value, I can use the get SEBool command, and if I want to change its value, I can use the set SEBool command. -p option making it persistent through a reboot.